Rebels knocked off Notre Dame. They've averaged 26 wins the last 3 seasons, been to the Big Dance 7 of the last 9 seasons. And that was under head coach Greg Marshall. That was an historic win over Notre Dame with stars like Terrell Martin and Craig Bradshaw leading the way. But it was also the last win that Marshall coached because he left for the Wichita job. And now Randy Peel is the head coach. After 4 seasons as Marshall's assistant, back in November, they continued their giant killer ways, beating Georgia Tech 79-73 at the Paradise Jam. Leading scorer Michael Jenkins led the way that night with 20 points, and Winthrop off to a 5-3 start. All 3 of those losses have come against teams ranked in the RPI top 34. Meantime, Andy Kennedy's Ole Miss Rebels 7-0. It's their best start since 2001 when the Rebs reached the Sweet 16 under Rod Barnes, led by freshman guard Chris Warren. Ole Miss defeated UCF 76-67 Saturday night right here on CSS. Warren averaging 15.6 assists per game. And one of the big reasons why the Rebels will likely contend for the SEC Western Division title again this year after winning a share of it last year, even though last year, like this year, they were picked dead last in that division. Time to bring in my partner, former Ole Miss All-American Harry Harrison. Harry, Andy Kennedy has energized the fan base with the Rebels, and he's reaching out to the folks here in Jackson tonight, and he's doing it with a team that's number 2 in the nation in scoring, averaging 92 points per game, almost 25 points per game more than the year he took over.
Andy Kennedy certainly has brought a wonderful game of basketball to Oxford, Mississippi. Students have gone home for the holidays, so Andy decides, hey, I'm going to take this road show on the road, Jackson, Mississippi, later on up in south of Memphis. But tonight it's in Jackson, Mississippi. Going to be a great crowd here tonight, Matt. A fun style of basketball. You mentioned the Rebels were scoring in the 60s some couple years ago. Now Andy's brought the run and gun to basketball in Oxford, Mississippi. It is a fun thing to watch. You're going to see a lot of excitement out of this team.
Now we mentioned Chris Warren, but a couple of freshman backcourt mates as well, and Trevor Gaskins and also Zach Graham, both these young men, freshmen out of the Atlanta area.
These are 2 of the fabulous freshmen that Andy and his staff have done a good job of recruiting. Trevor Gaskins, you see what he's done over the last 2 games, scoring that 13 points a clip. He's quietly worked himself into a starter here in this Ole Miss backcourt. And then you got Zach Graham. What can you say about Zach Graham, except not only was he a basketball All-Stater in Georgia, he was also an All-State footballer there in the Georgia area. And he does a great job, big body, very athletic, and he does a super job on the wing for the Rebels.
Meantime, Winthrop is led by Michael Jenkins, their senior guard. He's averaging close to 16 points per game.
Michael Jenkins, the 17th player in Winthrop history to score 1,000 points. He's on his way, only 100 points away. You'll see him take a lot of shots tonight. He's a big threat at the 3 ball, the leading scorer for the Winthrop Eagles.
It's the Winthrop Eagles and the Ole Miss Rebels, and we're coming back with the starting lineups in the opening tip right after this timeout on CSS. And we are back at the Mississippi Coliseum in Jackson, Mississippi. Tonight, the Winthrop Eagles and the Ole Miss Rebels. Let's take a look at the Winthrop Eagles led by head coach Randy Peel in his first season as the head coach after 4 seasons as an assistant to Greg Marshall. 5-3 in his first season, his 5th season as a college head coach. Overall record of 54-72. That included 4 years as the head coach at UNC Greensboro. Here's the starting lineup for the Eagles. In the front court, Antwon Harris and Taj McCullough. The center is Andy Buchert, and the guards Michael Jenkins and Chris Gaynor. Ole Miss Rebels led by Andy Kennedy in his 2nd season as the Rebels head coach, 28-13, 49-26 overall, including his 1 season at Cincinnati. Kenny Williams is the forward, Dwayne Curtis the center, Chris Warren and El Polynice and Trevor Gaskins in the backcourt. This is the first ever meeting between Ole Miss and Winthrop. The Eagles are 2-16 against the SEC. Their conference victories in the SEC coming against Mississippi State last year and Georgia a couple of seasons ago. Tony Green, Gary Maxwell, and Tim Crockett, the officials here tonight. Ole Miss starting on offense in the white, and Winthrop in the garnet and gold. Jenkins comes out of there after the turnover by Ole Miss, leaves it for Harris. 3-pointer by Antwon Harris, and Winthrop has the early lead.
Winthrop trying to get off to an early start, knowing they're going to play defense, trying to keep this game manageable. Or to keep it in the 60s, Matt.
Yeah, they held 13 opponents under 60 points a year ago, 7 under 50 points. Defense has kind of been their trademark under former head coach Greg Marshall. Randy Peel hoping to continue that. He said that getting off to a good start here would be huge. Fearful that Ole Miss would come out and try to jump him. Warren missed his 3-point attempt right there. Warren got off to a great start against UCF on Saturday, hitting 12 of the Rebels' first 20 points. Kenny Williams with the rebound.
Kenny Williams, a big body from the state of Florida. He's a senior here in the front court as he takes the shot.
Ole Miss has missed their first 2 shots. Dwayne Curtis, however, gets the offensive rebound and gets the Rebels their first bucket of the night.
Curtis always around the basket, the big body. He transferred in from Auburn several years ago. He's going to get a lot of trash baskets.
Curtis started 5 games for then head coach Cliff Ellis, transferred to Ole Miss after the coaching change at Auburn. Foul underneath. Let's take a look at Ole Miss in the offensive glass here by Dwayne Curtis, averaging 8 rebounds per game. This time he gets hard on the offensive glass. Actually, Winthrop knocked themselves off the ball.
The line for Winthrop, number 21, Antwon Harris, shooting 2.
Foul was called on Trevor Gaskins. Antwon Harris at the line, 83.3% free throw shooter, senior out of Clarksville, Tennessee, and Highland Community College.